Welcome back to another tutorial. This week is this marble and gold bee themed cake. As always, I'm starting out with my cake already ganached and stuck to a drum. This is a 6-inch round and you'll find all the tutorials required to make this linked in the description box. For the marbling, I've got some white paste and I'm adding a little black to it to create a grey colour. There is no right or wrong way really doing this, but I usually start with a white sausage and add in smaller grey sausages and pure jet black ones in smaller amounts on either side and on top of the sausage. I then roll them together to merge them and twist by moving one hand up and one down to start spiralling the sausages together. Once I have a good spiral, I'll fold the sausage in half and repeat the process over and over again until I get to the right stage of marbling that I'm after. I then just squash the sausage into a flat disc and start rolling it out. If you don't quite like the pattern on one side, simply flip it over as you have the choice of two. Roll it out so it will fit over your 6-inch cake and drape it over using your rolling pin. Then just work around pulling the pleats open and securing the paste to your dampened cake. Once all the pleats are out, trim off the excess. I'm then using a smedger to press the excess lip of paste down towards the drum. This gives a sharper edge at the bottom, which I'm going to trim again just a couple of millimetres away from the base. I then squash this lip down and cut it a bit closer. The reason for this is it will give you a much neater finish on the bottom. If you want sharp edges, grab yourself a pair of these flexible acetate smoothers. Holding one flat on the top of the cake and one flat to the side of the cake, apply a little pressure where they meet to push the paste into a sharper edge. I have full tutorials on different methods of this here on my channel. I'm then covering the board using the toilet seat method in black paste. Again, you'll also find this in the description box. For the honeycomb, you're going to need a new roll of bubble wrap, which you can wipe down with alcohol to clean it and then leave it to dry. Now you can use a couple of things for this next stage. There are things called candy melts, wafer melts, some type of melt which you can pop in the microwave and apply to moulds. People often refer to this as chocolate, however it contains no chocolate whatsoever and cannot legally be named as such, hence melts. You can't fault it for its ease of use and it does come in handy for certain jobs, but I'm just really not a fan of the taste and prefer using the real deal. But if you are going to use real chocolate, you're going to need to temper it. What this means is that if you ever melt chocolate, you can't simply just whack it in a mould and expect it to work. You're most likely going to get something called bloom. Here I have a bowl to show you what this looks like. This was melted in the microwave and just left to set. You'll notice it has a chalky type of film with spots. It's perfectly safe to eat and still yummy, but the structure of the chocolate is compromised and it will be softer, not as hardy, not shiny, and not as beautiful as tempered chocolate. There are a few ways to temper chocolate, but I'm going to be using the seeding method. This means I'm melting my chocolate very gently in the microwave in 30-second bursts until it reaches 108 degrees. Each type of chocolate has its own perfect melting points, but for white chocolate we want to melt it 108. What this chopped chocolate does is teach the crystals in your melted chocolate to reform properly. As you add this seed, you're aiming to rapidly bring the chocolate temperature down to around 83. This is then ready to use. Remember, these are white chocolate numbers. Milk and dark will have their own and they're usually written on the chocolate bag. You'll notice I still have a few lumps in mine. This is a learning curve with every single batch, knowing how much seed you will need, how big or small to chop the pieces, the temperature of the melted chocolate being a few degrees out. Lots of things depend on the final outcome. This lumpy chocolate has tempered absolutely fine and I can still use it, especially for this honeycomb. However, the lumps are not so great for intricate moulds, so you'll just want to play around with the amount to make sure the seed fully melts but still reaches its optimal temperature rapidly enough. So we're going to dollop our chocolate onto the bubble wrap and just spread it out a little. You don't want it too thin that you can see the bubbles through it as it may snap. You can speed up the process by putting this in the fridge, however I'm just off to bed and will leave this overnight. It's now morning and I'm able to peel my nice, hard, tempered white chocolate without any bloom off the bubble wrap. Tempering can be a bit of a pain, which is why candy melts are so popular, as there's no chocolate, so there's no need for tempering. But my gosh, the flavour is unrivaled, and you can legally call it chocolate, so it's worth giving it a go. I'm now just dusting the whole thing with Faye's Regency Gold Luster with a fluffy brush. You can chop the bottoms flat with a hot knife, and I'm just adding some melted white chocolate to the back to stick it to the cake. Fun fact, the chocolate I'm using to stick it on with is not tempered because you're not going to see it. I'm then placing my topper in the centre and using chocolate again to stick down some of the artificial flowers. With the same gold powder, mix it with a little lemon extract to create a paint, and choose a couple of the marbling lines to accentuate with the gold. I'm also taking the opportunity to paint in any paler areas of the honeycomb. To make sure my name will fit on the board, I've cut out a piece of greaseproof paper to the right width and shape, and I'm able to trace the name onto it from my computer screen. Place this on the board and trace over it with a Dresden tool or a pencil to leave an impression. Doing it this way means I can choose any font, any size and any curve, so it will always fit my project. Simply follow your lines with the gold paint and a fine paintbrush. I then decided to add in a little rosebud because the space was annoying me. For the bees, I'm squashing a little teardrop shape in my palm and sticking it to the cake. A little squashed oval on top makes a head. Then I've added some Tylo powder to my paste, as this strengthens it enough to be rolled thinner through the pasta machine. From this I cut out 2 wings by hand, but you're totally free to trace a template if you wish. I'm just chopping them down to size and sticking them on either side of the body with water. Then scoring lines on the body with the Dresden tool. Add your bees all around the cake before painting them all in the matching gold. Just when I thought I was finished, I decided a bit of greenery would look nice. This is also artificial and it's easily tucked in tightly between the flowers, so there's no need to stick them down. And that's it, a quite elegant marble bee cake and some really yummy real white chocolate honeycomb. I hope you find something useful in this tutorial. Please leave me a comment below and I will see you again, as always, next week. Bye guys.